Cognizant to the needs of our learners, parents, and teachers, the Department of Education provided us with powerful tools for productivity that will allow us to foster critical thinking skills, problem-solving skills, communication and collaboration skills to be compassionate, responsible global citizens. Join us and discover new ideas in our series of professional development training program with the ICTS Edtech Unit and Microsoft Education Philippines. Together, we will equip our learners and empower our fellow educators for a dynamic future. Para sa bata, para sa bayan, at para sa guro. Sulong Edukalidad.
Hi, Ma'am Nova, you're live.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. This is Tutor Nova for today, and we will be together from 4 o'clock in the afternoon down until 4:40 in the afternoon today. So we are here together joining for the week number 3 for English for academic and professional purposes. All right, so I hope everybody's doing great today. And just in case you wanted to participate in today's class, please feel free to do so by leaving a comment on the comment section there at I think you can find it below. Yeah, below this video. Okay, so this is English for academic and professional purposes. Every Tuesdays 4 until 4:40 in the afternoon today. We are in quarter 3, week number 3. We have here language use in academic writing. This will be the scope of our discussion for today. So we are going to know about the appropriate language to use when we do academic writing. This is our learning objective today. First is we are going to determine language style in academic writing. And second one, we are going to differentiate language style used in academic texts from various disciplines today. And just a little bit of a flashback. Last time we actually talked about, on the week number 2, we talked about the academic structure. And last time, let's do a very quick review. We learned last time that we have a well-structured text enables the reader to follow the argument and navigate the text. So it's really important that when you do academic writing, you should follow a certain structure. And because a clear structure and a logical flow are imperative to a cohesive text. So that's really important that we follow a certain structure. And that structure that we are talking about is what we call the 3-part essay structure, wherein we definitely follow the IBC format, or the introduction, body, and conclusion. And the last thing that we learned last time was about structure, and the structure should be considered on all levels of text so that you will find information on structuring paragraphs. So that is what we learned during the week number 2 about the academic structure. And it's important that you still remember the past lesson that we have because that will be the bridge of our lesson for today. Okay, so I got here spot the difference. So what is the difference in the following sentences? I'd like you to take a moment and please look at the 2 sentences. We have S1 for sentence 1. So sentence 1 we have here, it was raining cats and dogs. And sentence 2 or S2 we have, it was raining very heavily. So what can you say about these 2 sentences right here? Yeah. What can you say about these 2 sentences right here? Can you try the first one? Let's try to scrutinize sentence number 1 first. It was raining cats and dogs. What can you say about it? Okay, so everyone, thank you for tuning in or being with us today. And we have here a lot of tuners in your high school, and at the same time, yeah, a lot of students joining us today in the class. So again, this is week number 3 for English for academic and professional purposes. So this is now the language used in academic writing. So again, let's begin with S1. Oh, I can see a lot of responses. Okay, so Marvin here says sentence 1 is actually figurative and sentence 2 is literal one. And Gladys here says sentence 1 uses idioms. Perfect. And sentence 2, according to Henry, is very literal. Okay. Well, your answers were definitely correct. I'm amazed. So sentence 1, it is actually telling us about idiomatic expression, raining cats and dogs. And sentence 2, basically this is what the literal meaning of the idiom is. It was raining very heavily. So as you can see, it is actually using different words, but they both have the same meaning. That means to say that there are actually different ways on how you say a word, whether it be a formal one or informal one. A sentence using idiomatic expression or a sentence that is using literal words or factual words. So that is the main difference of sentence 1 and sentence number 2. Great, wow. You're actually paying a lot of attention here. Okay. And, oh, I have explanation pala here. Okay. So sentence 1, it was raining cats and dogs. If it is raining cats and dogs, it is raining unusually or unbelievably hard, which means to say the rain was definitely very heavy or it's superb. Okay. Now, sentence 2 here, it was raining very heavily, stating a fact, not an idiom. At the same time, it's a factual sentence. So this is a literal sentence. Yeah. So great. Wow, I've got a lot of great students here in the class. Okay. Well, about sentence 1 and sentence 2, this is actually our key in going to the topic that we have today. It's about the academic language. So basing from these two words, academic and we have language. Now, what do you think is academic language is? Basing from these two different terms, academic, language. What do you think is academic language? Oh, we have a lot of tuners here watching from Binaliwan Elementary School. Hello. And Ugad High School. Hello. Thank you so much for tuning in or being with us today. And I also have my teacher broadcasters joining me in the class today. We have Sir or Doc Romel Robledo from Zamboanga. Hello, SDO Zamboanga. Thank you for tuning in or being with us today. Okay, going back. We got here two terms again, academic language. Basing from these two terms, what do you think academic language is? Yeah? Oh, I think you are still processing these two terms. Well, let me help you with that. Okay, when we say academic language, it actually represents the language demands of school or the academics. And of course, it includes language used in textbooks, in classrooms, on tests, and in each discipline. Therefore, as a senior high school student, you really need to get yourself equipped with the academic language because you have a lot of demands in school, especially when you write research or anything like maybe in your English classes, writing for a different type of essay. Could be a narrative essay or different types. Yeah, so this is very important to learn the academic language. Okay. All right, so wait, I think that my key bar is okay here. Now this will lead us to this diagram here. As you can see, we got here academic language, and it's pointing to these three arrows here: formal, objective, technical, and these point out to our focal point in today's discussion, which is academic language. In other words, it is actually describing what academic language is. In other words, we can also say that academic language is formal. Academic language is objective. And at the same time, academic language is technical. Ooh, it's oozing with technicalities here. Okay. And I can also see here a lot of okay, we got here Rosalie. Rosalie says, refers to the oral, written, and auditory and visual language proficiency used in the classrooms, books, tests, and homeworks. And that's a bingo you got here. That's right. So these things, like the formal, objective, technical, this is actually describing what academic language is. Now let's try to dig deeper about the different different types of academic language: formal, objective, and technical. Let's begin with the formal. Now, academic language is actually formal because it avoids casual or conversational, such as contractions and informal vocabulary. I think that in English classes, especially when you write for an essay, I think that your English teacher will always tell you, as much as possible, and always remember, do not use contractions. That means to say when you use I can't talk or something like that, you are actually you should not use that because it's a contraction. I can't talk. To make it proper or formal, you need to write instead, I cannot talk. So that is contraction. And at the same time, informal vocabulary, you should avoid those. And academic language is objective in a way that you should avoid personal or direct reference to people or feelings. That means to say that you should avoid your personal grudges, or when you write for an essay, maybe you are describing a certain place and you have such bitter memories on that place. You should avoid your personal sentiments or emotions as the one writing for that academic text. And at the same time, technical. Academic language is actually technical because you use vocabulary specific to the discipline. And we will be digging deeper later on the discussion today about the different types of academic language. Okay, so as you can see, we have here a table. And we got here formal, objective, and technical. Let's try to scrutinize these things bit by bit. So let's begin with the first column. It's about formal. So academic language is formal. So when we say formal, you should choose formal instead of informal vocabulary. So what does that possibly mean when we say you choose formal instead of informal vocabulary? Yeah, tutor, you're actually making a point, but what do we mean by formal and informal vocabulary? Okay, so when we say formal and informal vocabulary, I'd like you to take a look closely at this table I've presented on the screen. So we got here informal vocab. Now let's read this informal vocab first, the second column. The sentence here says, the news about the company was a bit misleading. It's like maybe you were like flipping pages of a newspaper, and then suddenly you have read about a certain article about a company, and then your coworker or your classmate asked you, what can you say about the company? And then after reading the news, you can maybe give your own opinion, and you can say, the news about the company was a bit misleading. Well, yeah, it's actually good for casual conversations, especially you're talking to your classmate. But if you are tasked to actually write an essay about what you have known about the company, you can try it in a formal vocab way. So try to refer to the third column. The sentence here says, the news about the company was somewhat misleading. So I have underlined words here in the informal vocabulary. We have a bit. And for the formal vocabulary, you got here somewhat. So to make it formal, instead of using a bit in your academic texts or write-ups, you can instead use somewhat to make it seem more formal, or to make it formal. Okay? So remember that. Okay. Now we got here another tip. Oh, okay, let's go to the objective column first, pala. Okay, so in the objective part, academic language is actually objective because you need to move information around in the sentence to emphasize things and ideas instead of people and feelings, okay? So again, it should be objective. That means to say you go away with your personal grudges or with your personal emotions or personal sentiments. So that means to say that you should emphasize things and ideas instead of people and feelings. Now, I got here another table to make it clear for us to understand. Again, this is about emphasizing things and ideas. So as you can see, we got two columns here. Let's refer to the second column first. It's the X column or the wrong column. So we got here a sentence that says, I believe the model is valid based on these findings. This is actually like kind of what we call the objective, how you say your academic text when you actually write it in a way that it's objective type. So this sentence right here is actually kind of a blah sentence. So how about let's say it this way, the check. Let's refer to the check or the correct way. Instead of saying, I believe the model is valid based on these findings, you can instead say, these findings indicate that the model is valid. This is actually very simple. At the same time, this actually refers more in a way that is more formal. At the same time, you're actually emphasizing more about the model or the findings that you are talking about. Okay, so that was our objective column here. Okay, now we got here technical part. So when we say academic language is technical, because you should be careful about the meaning of technical terms. That is right. There's actually a lot of things to consider and a lot of things to learn. When you are still a beginner in writing these academic texts, what I do suggest, or just a tip, is that you need to really be a wide reader, which means to say you need to really read more write-ups from other people so that you would be more familiar with the different technical terms. Okay, so we got here another table here showing you about formal. Again, academic language is formal and you should avoid contractions. I think I have mentioned this earlier that contractions should not be used. So just to clearly illustrate that, we got here 3 columns. I'd like you to take a look at the second column, which is the X column or the wrong way. It says here, the sentence here says, I didn't evaluate her output. So we are using contraction by using the word didn't. So to make that correct and to make it formal, you can instead refer to the third column, which is a sentence saying, I did not evaluate her output. Again, always remember, you avoid contractions. Okay, here, this is the table, again, formal, objective, technical. This is actually describing our academic language. Let's refer to the second column now, which is objective. Academic language is objective, which means to say you avoid evaluative words that are based on non-technical judgments and feelings. And to illustrate that, I got here another table. So I'd like you to take a look at this table right here. And please take a look at the second column first. So the wrong way, presenting you the wrong way, or not the great way to say it or to write it. So do not use amazing, the word amazing or disappointment when you actually kind of evaluate a certain thing or evaluate a certain output from other people. So instead of saying, your output was actually amazing, or your presentation was actually amazing, instead of doing that, you can actually use a different way to say it. Say, for example, if you did not find the presentation quite well, or you were not really impressed by the presentation, you can instead say, instead of saying the presentation was a disappointment, Instead of saying that, you can say it in a way the presentation did not demonstrate the needed standards. So again, do not use amazing or disappointment. Instead, use valid or did not demonstrate. Okay, so try to use these evaluative words more than the usual one. These are actually kind of I don't really encourage you to use these words because this is more effective. These words are more effective when you give your evaluation comments or your words, the words that you need to use when you evaluate something. Okay. Now we got here another table presenting to you again, the describing our academic language. It should be technical. Please refer to the third column. It should be technical because you need to be very careful about the meaning of technical terms. Now, I'd like you to take a look at the second column here. When we say you need to be careful about the meaning of technical terms, because often the same word has a different meaning in another discipline. So to do that, you need to use the key categories and relationships in your discipline. That is the way information and ideas are organized into groups. And the third column is actually our examples to illustrate our technical description about academic language. So for example, in the discipline of law is separated into two types. We have the common law and the statute law. And, typo, parang parehas lang pala ng example. We only have one example pala. Okay, so for example, in the discipline of law is separated into two types, common law and statute law. So what this example is telling us is that when we write for something, you should actually be keen in researching more about it. So say, for example, when you're doing academic text and you need to write something about law, and then you were generalizing the law, but then you did not know that the law actually has a category, which is the common law and the statute law. So you should really be careful on that. So this table here is telling us that in doing your academic text or academic write-up, you should be a good researcher as well. So be very technical, okay? All right, now let's practice. Let's see if you have fully understood, or let's do checking your understanding here. So what do you think is the most correct answer in the following instances? All right. Now I got here sentence 1. So I'd like you to help me with this. Okay, so since you know the do's and don'ts in academic language, like when it comes to the formal, the objective, and the technical, so how about let's do the application process or the application part, wherein we have here a sentence and you tell me which is the best word to use in this certain sentence, okay? So number 1, instead of the informal, I have read, use, which one should you use? Which is which? I think or the essay has? Say, for example, if you have read an article and then you needed to give your own reflection about the article you just read in an academic writing. Now, which word should you use instead? Should it be I think, like, I think that the blah blah, and then, or it should be the essay has. The essay has da 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 da, like that. So which word do you think suits best that you can make it into a formal way? Because the informal way is actually saying I have read. That is very informal. So what do you think is a formal way to say it? Oh, we got here answers actually. We got Actious. Actious says here, I think. Ooh. Oh, is that formal? Okay. All right. Watching from Davao de Oro. Hello. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in with us today. Oh, I got answers here. We have Fortunata and Dave Fortunata and Dave here got the same answer, which is the essay has. Okay, so 1 vote for I think and 2 votes for the essay has. So what about the others? Okay, let's see. Let's find out. Okay, now the perfect way to say or to transform the informal way I have read, instead of saying I have read, you should instead say it the essay has. Okay, that's the formal way. That's a very great thing to remember when you do your academic write-up or academic texts. That's right, bingo, 1 point. Okay, now second sentence here. The phrase turn out to be is informal. So what do you think should be used instead of saying turn out to be, which is an informal one? What do you think is the formal one? Is it become or end up? Ooh, you got 2 options there, become or end up. What do you think is the formal one instead of saying turn out to be? Yeah? Okay. All right. Can I hear your answers now? Okay. Is it become or end up? Oh, I have Dave here. Dave says become with a question mark. And okay, not really sure. Okay, how about Raquel? Raquel here says become, not with a question mark, but I think she's very convicted to her answer, like become. Okay. And the others also were saying become, and the others were saying end up. Now, let's see which is the more formal way of saying turn out to be. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, here. That's right, it's become. Instead of saying turn out to be, you should instead use become to make your academic write-up formal. So you can say that the research findings turn out to be blah, blah, blah. Like the research findings turn out to be negative or positive. Instead of saying that, you can say that the research findings become positive, or the research findings become what do you call this one? Comprehensive, or something like that. So because turn out to be is a bit informal, it's kind of a word that you can use, like maybe talking to a friend or coworker or a classmate. So instead of doing that in your academic text, do not use turn out to be, but use become instead, because both have the same meaning anyway. All right, we have number 3. Oh, you got it. Yeah, you got it. Okay, number 3. Help me with this. Instead of paid for, which one should you use? Given or funded? Which one? Yeah. Which one do you think should be used to make your write-up or your academic write-up sound more formal? Paid for is the word. What do you think should be used to make it formal? Is it given or funded? Like say, for example, his research was paid for, or his research was given, blah, 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 or his research was funded, blah, blah, blah. What do you think is the more formal? Oh, I can see a lot of answers right here. We have funded, given. I can see here a vote for given, and I can also see here a vote for funded. What do you think is the correct answer? Okay, let's reveal. That's right, it's funded, everyone. So instead of saying paid for, you can instead use funded. That is the appropriate word or the appropriate academic language for your write-ups. Okay. Now we got here number 4. We're almost there. Okay, number 4. The word job is a little too informal. So instead, what should you write? Is it role or gig? Now, please help me with this. The word job is a little too informal. Now, instead, which one should we write? Is it role or gig? Yeah, can anyone tell me? Okay, we got here Neil. Neil says role. Let's see. And the others? Yeah, do I have a person rooting for the answer gig? Meron ba? Wala naman. Okay, I think majority of the answers here actually role. Well, let's reveal. That's right, bingo. Instead of saying job, you can say role. Like the role of the family in the society is blah, 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 like that. Okay, that is more formal and more appropriate in academic language used for academic texts or writing. Okay, number 5. Okay, instead of funny, which one should you use? Laughable or ironic? Yeah. Instead of funny, which one should you use? Is it laughable or ironic? Okay. Yeah, which one? Help me with this. Okay. Okay, we got here Idina. Idina says ironic. Dave says ironic. Neil says ironic as well. Oh, what do you think is the correct answer? I got a lot of vote for ironic, and I can see 1 vote for laughable. Okay, which one is the correct answer? Let's reveal. Okay, so instead of saying funny, you can say ironic. Especially, I think this is a word that you can use, especially in academic writing, when you kind of compare a certain write-up to the other. So you can say it in a way. If you find a certain one a little bit humorous, you can instead use ironic instead of the word laughable. Okay? All right. Now we got here number 6. Instead of picked out, which one should you use which is more appropriate for academic writing or academic text? Is it selected or taken? Could you help me with this? Is it selected or taken? Picked out. Number 6. I think this will be our last number because we don't have enough time. Okay, we have here Dave. Okay, Dave, Rachel, and Gladys, all of them said selected. What about the others? Do I have any vote for taken? So far naman wala. Selected. Okay. All right, so let's reveal the answer for this. So the formal way of saying picked out, instead of saying picked out, you can say selected. Okay, that's right. So you can use that word instead of picked out, the selected. Okay, great job. So, sino po ang naka-perfect score ng 6/6? I think you actually paid a lot of attention in this class today, which is really great. So again, for today, we actually talked about the academic language today. And always remember, academic language represents the language demands of school. So these are the language used in textbooks, in classrooms, on tests, and in each discipline. So, right, I think that was it. So everyone, thank you for having me today. We only have 1 minute to go, and I have to say that for the next week, which is week number 4, we will be having the continuation of this class. So stay tuned for a lot of activities and a lot more, what do you call this one? Fantastic lessons coming up, which is actually really essential for senior high school students. As a graduating student, especially the grade 12 students, you need to be fully equipped with these things. This is English for academic and professional purposes. Our time is over. This has been Tutor Nova for today. Thank you for sticking around, and I will see you next time. Thank you, and have a great day.
Sigurado ako na marami ka na namang natutuhan sa ating ETUlay tutorial session ngayong araw. Tandaan, ito ay hindi lamang para sa ating mga mag-aaral, kundi pati rin sa ating mga minamahal na guro at mga magulang na kaagapay natin para maituloy ang pagkatuto sa kabila ng nararanasang pandemya. Patuloy ding sumubaybay sa DepEd TV para sa mga araling ginawang video episodes. Mapapanood ito mula Lunes hanggang Sabado, alas 7 ng umaga hanggang alas 7 ng gabi sa inyong mga telebisyon. Abangan bukas mula 1:00 ng tanghali ang iba pang aralin sa ating ETUlay free online tutorial session sa Filipino. I-like and subscribe at manatiling nakasubaybay sa ating ETUlay tutorial session sa DepEd Edtech Unit FB page at Educational Technology Unit channel sa YouTube at sa DepEd Tayo at DepEd Philippines social media accounts. Paalam!